Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Sunday, it's March 23rd, 2025. Today is day 534. It's the third Sunday in Lent. Greetings, I'm from the area around the Vatican. I'm here for meetings. I'll tell you about that in a minute. I wanted to first let you know that there have been forced evacuations that are happening right now in Gaza. Displacement, where people are experiencing some of the most difficult, as if displacement's not difficult enough, the ways that the displacement is being manifested. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Evacuation routes are being restricted and people are being forced to leave through specific streets. And anyone who is not using those routes, alternative routes, is targeted. Electronic barriers and arrests where checkpoints have been set up and arrests are conducted among those who are being displaced. There's aerial surveillance and continuous gunfire. Just picture this happening. You, your family, your children carrying only how much you can carry. You have to walk all the way to the south, 23 miles or so, depending on where you're going. Parts of Rafah are evacuating if you're going from Gaza City, which actually I don't think Gaza City can cross the Netzarim corridor. So I'd have to look at a map, but you don't even know where you're going necessarily. So you have to follow this directed path like cattle. Checkpoints have been set up and arrests are happening. Evacuees are being targeted from the air and some are being besieged. And vehicles are not allowed to be used. So you can only take what you can carry on your back. So if you have a baby, you have to carry your baby and something in the other hand, forcing people to evacuate on foot, describing this as a security operation rather than just a military action. This is abhorrent. It's absolutely abhorrent. And it's happening in front of our eyes, and the world is watching it. And we're not screaming. Why is not every single news station saying, make it stop? Please, please, please write op-eds. I mean, I have 4 drafted and, all of us, I'm not trying to shame anyone. Let's just work as hard as we can. Today in Israel, the Security Cabinet approved agency to enable the displacement of Palestinians. So literally in Israel, there's a new group that was just established. It's in the Defense Ministry that will enable Gazans who want to voluntarily leave the strip. Okay, you're being bombed. You can't live. You're being shut off from food and water, but you're voluntarily leaving. And so this agency is being set up to help Gazans who want to leave willingly. So this will most likely spark outrage. That just happened today. And today's Sunday. And so I want us to invite you, take a breath. I'm currently in Rome. I was invited to a last minute meeting here at the Vatican. I'm just outside the Vatican. I hope to be able to talk about that some in the days ahead. We would covet your prayers. For now, yesterday, I promised I'd share a little bit about what's happened the last couple of days at this ecumenical gathering. I don't know if I want to talk about that much. There'll be videos of it coming out in the next couple of days. I was just with a Catholic cardinal, the nuncio from Washington, D.C., Cardinal Pierre, Archbishop Elpidophoros, who's the head of the Greek Orthodox Church of North America. And, I spent significant time on Friday and Saturday with these 2 gentlemen and the president of the University of South Carolina. And we were with a couple hundred people on Saturday, and we had a worship service for Lent Friday night with the Greek Orthodox church there. And I will say it was beautiful to be together as the body of Christ. And many, many of the people there were Republican and very conservative. And there was concerns by some of the leadership, not the leadership I just mentioned, but some of the other organizers. There was concern about me talking about the Middle East. And I was very, very clear about the work we do and what we're calling for and why we're calling for it. And people responded overwhelmingly with tears and allowing hearts to be broken. And I've gotten so many notes saying, I feel convicted. And, may God just move us to engage. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict did not begin on October 7th. That day was a day that changed history. Devastating for Jews in Israel and Jews around the world. And the response has been abhorrent, cutting off food, water, gas, and electricity for more than 2 million people in Gaza, who now for the last 2 weeks have had the exact same thing happen again, who are not guilty of the crimes of Hamas. That is also a crime against God and a crime against humanity. So may we be inspired to show love, empathy, kindness, and compassion to each and every person, mother, father, family member who has lost loved ones, be it in the decades of occupation, be it in, a suicide bombing by a militant, be it by human rights abuses that Palestinians have suffered under for decades, be it in the bombings that have happened the last 16 months, be it on October 7th. Maybe we'd be willing to embrace those family members as beloved children of God. Every person killed in the last 533 days. And war and violence and death and suffering is not the answer. We talk a lot about John 1:5, that the light shines in the darkness and the darkness does not overcome it. That verse does not seem to be true right now, but we hold on to its truth. We can only have true peace when we're honest about the darkness. And that's why I do these videos every day. And the taking of the lives of the children of God that are created in his image is wrong. Let me give you a few other updates about what's happening, please. 21 people were killed by Israeli forces in Gaza overnight. A senior Hamas political leader, several women and children were killed, according to reports. The IDF has called Gaza's Rafah residents to evacuate north. And I know Gaza City has been bombed extensively. Movement in vehicles is not allowed. Many of these people have been displaced 5, 6, 7 times or more. If you think that there is an exaggeration in calling this ethnic cleansing, think again. And if you really, really are critical of the use of the word genocide, I know genocide is a legal term. It will not be determined for decades. But friends, what's happening is just abhorrent. Israel's security security cabinet established this voluntary transit administration. Someone asked me yesterday, why won't surrounding Arab countries take the Palestinians? And why don't the Palestinians want to go? And I thought that's a fair question, right? For people who don't know the history, like it's asked all the time. It's been asked for decades. And I was thinking about it. And I thought it's like the US. It's like American citizens or Americans who live here are being asked, why don't you just move to Canada and why won't Canada take you? Yeah, we both speak English, but let me tell you, it's two very, very different places, and it's even more drastic than that. Egypt, the people aren't Arabs, they're Coptic. The Lebanese, they have French influences, and the Lebanese have very, very strong contentious relationships with the Palestinians because Palestinian resistance has caused great harm to the Lebanese people over history, especially during the Lebanese Civil War. I mean, I could talk about all of this, but it's like Palestinians going to other Arab nations, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, it's from Saudi Arabia. These are different people groups. And so I just thought that might be helpful. The death toll in Gaza has now surpassed officially 50,000 people. The West Bank, atrocities continue. Tulkarm's been under attack for more than 56 days. Ner Shams for 43 days. 13 people have been killed, including a child and 2 women, along with dozens injured and arrested just in the last 24 hours as escalations continued. 512 homes and structures partially or completely destroyed. Arrests in Salon and Ramallah. A missile was launched from Yemen that was intercepted. I'll talk about that in a minute. It was over Ben Gurion and over Tel Aviv. And so flights were suspended while they investigated the launch. Several flights had to avoid landing at Ben Gurion because of air raid sirens over Tel Aviv. An Israeli drone struck a vehicle in South Lebanon. 1 person was killed. And I just want to let you know, last week I had said that 3 aircraft carriers were going to be coming from the U.S., but the news this morning said that only 1 so far, additional 1. The USS Harry Truman is already there. The USS Carl Vinson carrier group is on its way now to the Middle East. And friends, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, if you're an anarchist, if you're independent, it doesn't matter what your political position is. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, if you have no faith or every faith, but for the sake of our common humanity, make the madness of this war and violence and death and killing stop. Advocate for it. I promise you, if you don't feel the effects of it now, and we should, all of us will be affected. And we are affected, even if you can't see it or acknowledge it. So Gaza, the crisis continues on and on and on and on. during the Lenten service, when we went in on Friday night, children lined up with flowers to give them to His Eminence Archbishop Elpidophoros and to Cardinal Pierre and to myself. And it was just a beautiful image. And the three of us as Christian leaders, ecumenical Christian leaders, Catholic, Protestant, and Orthodox, had the opportunity to light a candle together, or light 3 candles, and place them together. And I lit a candle praying for peace, beseeching God that we have to find a better way forward for the sake of the children of Gaza, for the sake of the children of Israel, for the sake of my own children and grandchildren, and for the sake of yours. Jesus said in the Garden of Gethsemane, live by the sword, die by the sword. And we must not, no matter what role we're in, church leaders, not church leaders, mothers, who stay at home, or corporate women or corporate men, or school teachers, or truck drivers. No matter what we do, we have a role to play in ending war and violence. Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. So might we courageously and diligently be willing to pursue peace at all costs. I want to highlight, I won't read the entire thing, but a bit of the devotional that Churches from Release Peace put out today on this 3rd Sunday of Lent. Today's is by Ben Norquist, Dr. Ben Norquist. He is the director of the Network of Evangelicals for the Middle East. The verse for today is Hebrews 12:1. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. And our devotions this year have been celebrating the faithfulness of solidarity in the Gaza ceasefire pilgrimages as we beseech God and as we seek to be closer to Him and one another. And so this today's devotion, Ben went through 5 different stations of the cross and talked about how pilgrimage is a journey to a sacred place in search of new insight or transformation, or to pray for the soul of a loved one. And that the pilgrimage of the Gaza ceasefire pilgrimages was these and more. He talked about how Christians, Jews, and Muslims gathered with hundreds in Chicago to pray for peace in Gaza. This was last year in March, a year ago. And in the previous weeks, they wrote prayers. Gaza is a sacred place close to the heart of God, and we follow Him there. Every pilgrimage starts and ends where we live. Home is an essential aspect of our pilgrimage. The journey should bring Gaza closer to home. No longer foreign, Gaza will become a part of our community. I'm on a pilgrimage right now to Rome, seeking peace. The pilgrimage, as Ben continues, was a protest, but a unique one, a devotional protest, a reverent march, a spiritual cry. A woman approached him between prayer stations 3 and 4, someone who leads protests in Chicago, and he had seen her pictures but didn't know her from social media. She'd never been a part of anything like this before, and she expressed her gratitude. Yes, this was a protest, but a protest in devotion. This cry is shared across faith communities, so you'll be joining Christians, Muslims, and Jews, and others who are moved by faith to prayer and action. A Jewish cantor led us to sing out our hope that nation shall not lift up sword against nation. They shall study war no more. Voices muted but persistent against the lake noise Ben described, a Muslim divinity student, invited the group to envision our walk as a parallel to the straight path. As we look out the lakefront, let us remember the sea in Gaza that can no longer drown out the sound of the bombs. As we engage in prayer, let us remember the divine mercy that we speak. As we take these steps together, let us remember solidarity in both sentiment and practice. This is the straight path. A pastor asked simply, "How long, O Lord?" On that day, we walked a 3.5-mile loop and paused at 5 prayer stations. Each stop corresponded to a location in Gaza. The Eretz crossing in the north, the Jabalia refugee camp, Al-Shifa Hospital, Central Gaza, St. Porphyrius Church, the Grand Amari Mosque, the Rafah border crossing in the south. Leaders invited pilgrims to imagine themselves in these places as they prayed. Perhaps you might imagine yourself too in these places with us. Add your prayers as you cross time and space. I'd invite you, there are 5 stations that Ben uses. Consider using our Lenten devotional as Lent continues. There are prompts and prayers. I'd encourage you to do that. I am continuing to seek to run for peace, to run for liberation. I'm training for this Ironman, trying to raise money for our efforts. And so I'm going to go for a run now and continue on a pilgrimage of my own. May God go before us. The closing line of station number 5 was, as we depart Gaza, Rafah is hard to leave. There are so many people here, and no one knows what their lives will hold. Use Gaza and the liturgy in your own community. May God continue to go before us in this season of Lent. Amen.